Get yourself settled so you're comfortable and that you can be relaxed in your body. When we first tune in, we tune in on a bunch of different levels or layers of who we are. One of them is certainly the physical body. We notice where we're tight, where we're relaxed, if it's calm, if it's agitated, what's really going on in our physical body. And we notice our breath. Are we holding our breath? Is there a softness or relaxation in our breath? What's really going on in our breath? And just with the body and the breath, we can tell a lot about our mental state, what's going on in our nervous system. If our breath and body are relaxed, then the mind is probably pretty calm. When there's a lot of compulsion in the mind, then there's that reflection of that in our body. And when we first come into a practice, we're also becoming aware and attuning to something that's much more subtle. Our sense of being or consciousness, awareness. Notice that too. Become aware of your being. And then let your thoughts about that go. It's not really a verbal experience, or we can't really capture our being with words or with thoughts. It's more of a felt sense. What is it that looked out of your eyes into the mirror when you were 7 or 8 years old, getting ready for school, when you were a teenager, all through your adult life, today? We have a sense of who we are that's more than our circumstances, although it definitely includes our circumstances. We live in and through our bodies. Our bodies belong to us, and we belong in our bodies in a way. Our mind and our brain are intimately connected, the brain and the head, and the heart and the gut. And in our mind, in our brain, we have all of the memories of everything that's ever happened, all the experiences we've ever had, all of the people, the pleasures, the suffering, the beautiful sunsets, the birds, the pets we've had. All of those are stored in our mind as well. And we could tune in for a moment to whatever it is that brought us to do a practice. There's a lot of complexity in that too. Many, many people say, "Oh, I'd love to learn to meditate," or "I really need to take time out to relax." And I'm sure we've all done that too. And yet here we are. We're doing a practice. We're tuning in and being present with ourselves, our body, our breath, our mind, our whole experience. We can notice that, give ourselves credit for that. And sometimes there's a habit in the mind, the negativity bias is part of it, where we berate ourselves. We dismiss what we do that's good and overly focus on the bad, what we're disappointed in, what hasn't worked out. So even if this is the first time you've ever done a practice, or maybe it's the thousandth time, don't let your mind focus on all of the times you haven't. I should have been doing this earlier, or I should do it more consistently, or I shouldn't have a mind that wanders, or all of those things that happen. Let all of that just move to the background. We don't need to actually pay attention to thoughts like that. They're not helpful at all. And they're actually quite harmful. And as you let yourself be released from the grip of that, let yourself enjoy being here, doing the practice. Our body and our whole being soaks up our attention. There's so much disconnection with trauma. And now we're connecting. We're noticing our body. Oh, that spot's a bit tight. If I move around or if I relax it with my mind, it feels so much better. There's more room in my body for my breath. There's room for good circulation of the blood system, the lymphatics. Even though tightening up is a common response, a normal response to stress, it makes it a lot harder for our body. As you're paying attention in your body, you might come through the back of your body, noticing if you could let yourself really be supported by the chair, the floor, by your bones. Notice the back of your neck and shoulders, your upper back in particular. We so often have tightness or shielding through there. Breathing in and then letting it go. And for several breaths, keep your attention on letting it go. Breathing in, maintain your connection with your body. Back of your neck and shoulders, the large muscles in the upper back. And breathing out, let them soften. Notice the back of your shoulders. Let them get kind of heavy. And then let your arms rest from there. We're not moving about in the world right now. We could rest our arms and legs. And sometimes when we put our mind here into the back of the body, we get such a deep relief. It's like, oh, I didn't even realize how tight I was. Now I could let that soften. And our body kind of cooperates. When we inquire into why the body is so tight through the back of the neck and shoulders, we can see that there's reasons for that. We're tight through there because we're protecting ourselves. And once we see that, it's easier to have some compassion or patience, some kindness. Our body's not tight because it wants to torture us, it's tight because there's a threat. And in this moment, in this present moment, there very likely isn't any kind of a threat where tightening up through the back of your body would help to protect you. So, this tightness or shielding is a habitual pattern from the past. And as we recognize that, we can let it soften. And for a moment, look into the relationship that you have with your back, with your upper back, or any part of your back that hurts, maybe, or that's tight. If a child came to you and said, I'm really scared, and you could see their body was all tightened up, what would you say? What would you do? Our impulse is to reassure them. I know you're scared. Right now, there's no danger here. You're safe here right now. Might even put a warm hand on their back so they could soften into that. And let yourself be comforted and reassured by your own attention, your own willingness to see and to soothe. We can notice other parts of the body where there's a similar dynamic going on. If you're clenching your teeth, that's a response to stress too. The eyebrows folded in, it's usually worry. A heaviness in the chest or that black pit in the stomach is often fear. And these linger in our body, they stay in the tissues of our body until we heal them. Notice if there's some kindness here, some openness, some space for you to be having the reactions and the responses that you have, even if they're uncomfortable, even if you think you should have healed this long ago. We don't have to listen to the mind about things like that. We don't have to be shamed by our own mind. When we see it, then we see it, and we could stop. And let's sink into that, just this acceptance. This is what's going on in my body right now. And I could let that be here. I could pay attention to it. And even though I might wish that there was something different, if you're not feeling calm and peace and relaxed, there's often a wish that that would be here instead. But we also have the capacity to be here for the real experience. We're adults now. And as adults, we can tolerate something that's not just happiness and ease. We can also be here for ourselves for the tough stuff. And again, don't let your mind criticize you for all the times you've disappeared or haven't been here for yourself or other people. There's no benefit in listening to that. Right now, you're here and you're doing a practice, you're paying attention, and you're noticing how much openness there is right now to really see and attune to your experience right now, whatever it is. And we might be watching our breath. It's very stabilizing for the mind to notice the breath. That new energy of the inhale and the release of the exhale, the feeling of the breath in the belly. And we could let all of our thoughts go. Just focus on the rhythm of the breath. And if when we turn to the breath, we notice that we're holding our breath or that our breath is choppy or not very smooth, we could see if we could be patient with ourselves. The body doesn't breathe like that because it's trying to torture us. It breathes like that because there's a pattern. There's been stress, there's been fear. Our defense mechanisms have been activated, and it's not always safe to breathe calm, smooth, full breaths. Sometimes it just doesn't feel safe to do that. And when we have that experience consistently over a long period of time, we develop a real pattern of that. So notice if there's some patience here for yourself. Ah, I do have that pattern a lot of the time. And some of the time I don't. Some of the time I tune in and my breath is just breathing and it's quiet and calm. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's getting better. We could give ourselves credit for that too, for the healing that we're doing. And you might notice feelings, energy, sensation in your body, that black pit in your stomach, or some kind of a energetic component that's not exactly physical, although it happens in our body. And these energies are here for a reason too. It's stored trauma that we couldn't process at the time. It's got memories and associations with it. It's part of that alarm system, which is quite functional when it comes to hot stoves and not so functional when it comes to emotional trauma. There's a real benefit in inviting this forward, getting to know the energy in our body, the feelings, the sensations. And part of that is that we very quickly reach a tipping point where we're not scared of that anymore. We've looked into it enough that we know that it's not here to hurt us. It's not dangerous. And when we're able to sit with it, it will reveal and open up to us what it is that's still unhealed. And in this way, it's a great benefit to us as we learn to sit with what is. Body, breath, energy, of course, all of the thoughts in the mind. These all make up our relationship. These are all interwoven. And with thoughts in the mind, we need to be awake and aware of what's happening in our mind. We don't want to follow the inner critic and negative thinking. And that's a lot of what's in the mind when we're traumatized. Those kinds of thoughts aren't helpful. It's appropriate for us to stop them. As soon as we notice that we're involved in some kind of shaming or criticism of ourselves, you could say stop or no. You could put your hand up. Stop. It's not appropriate. It's an old pattern that got installed in childhood, probably. And now the best thing we can do for ourselves and everybody around us is to see it and stop it. And when we don't have those continuous, compulsive, catastrophic thoughts in the mind, when we're not shaming ourselves all the time, that's when we have enough space to really heal, but also to really enjoy our lives. It's hard to enjoy anything when we're absorbed in negative thinking, when we're collapsed into a kind of a shame storm. Notice your experience. Let go of any negative thoughts. Focus again on your breath, on your body, and on your experience of kindness and patience for yourself, no matter what your experience is. When we're calm and present, when we're agitated and taken over by thoughts, the minute we come back, we could do that with kindness. And bring your attention back to your whole body, head to toes. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.